Just examples of other digital tools at your fingertips. If you do have access to your AdWords account, there's a wealth of information actually in the account. If you don't want to look at it and decipher it for yourself, then ask your representative, ask your digital marketing manager, your expert at the dealership to kind of help you go through with it. There's campaign reports where you look at the health of the entire campaign. You could look at the health of the ad group. If you've got a used car campaign, you've got different ad groups dedicated to different models. You can break it down that far. You can see how a keyword performed. And of course, you can see how the URL performed. So just within the account itself, there's a lot of different metrics to kind of look at. Beyond that, there's a few tools. Again, just even within the AdWords account, the traffic estimator tool. It's really great because it looks at traffic and cost estimates for new keywords. So looking at average cost per click, search volume. You guys are nodding your heads. Pretty familiar with that tool. A keyword tool also helps you get new ideas for keywords, things that you may not have thought of, but are actually really relevant to users. And just kind of going more towards the last point, the See Search Terms report is really great. It lets you look at what queries people actually entered into Google to get to your ad. So they may not be your exact keyword phrases that you kind of thought of yourself, but it may be something slightly off or something slightly related that then you could add to your campaign as a highly converting keyword. Within display, there's a couple different tools that I could just go through really quickly. Contextual targeting tool lets you think of additional themes for your ad groups and additional keyword ideas. And then, of course, the placement performance report, which is how we figured out how to exclude that Japanese anime site because we were able to see which sites converted well, which sites had a lot of traffic, and had a lot of clicks or impressions if you're doing branding. Yes?
The C search term reports, can you dissect that by zip code? How can you dissect that?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. I think you'd have to go in the account and check. I actually don't know that. You're probably able to do it by city and state.
I would think you wouldn't want to be too exposed on that, meaning like you wouldn't want to get a search term that has way too many possibilities in terms of length. Obviously, you're going to spend a lot more money in terms of the cost, right?
Right, but I think what the report is trying to tell you is that, hey, you know what? A lot of people typed in this phrase to get to your ad. Right. So in the end, it's worth it, right? It's enhancing your performance, and it may be cheaper once you're able to add it to the account and like really sort of try to refine it.
And once you figure out the terms you want, you go back to the traffic estimator and plug in those terms.
Yeah, you could do that.
And that'll pay you and tell you basically what the estimation is based off of what the searches are.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to make one comment about those of you who are thinking about running your own AdWords accounts in-house or outsourcing them or some shared. So when we think about all this, one of the advantages of using a good AdWords company is that they've done a lot of work in advance. They've built keyword lists for your OEM brand, and so you come out of the box cleaner. If you just use the keyword tool and say, let me throw the kitchen sink at it, okay? If you put too many keywords in your ad groups, it really becomes difficult. So one of the advantages of working with a partner is they've already gone through the pain. That being said, if you still want to manage it yourself, you may want to just look into someone to coach you for a few months, get the campaign set up. If you really are set, if you're a multi-store group and you say, I want to do it myself, there's pros and cons to everything, but when we talk about all this stuff, this is not like just jump in and turn on all the faucets and think that this is going to self-optimize. There is some learning curve, and I just don't want you to go crazy and think that everything is just so simple. There's a lot of data that companies like Haystack or Cobalt or Dealer.com has done over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of searches to know which converts and what doesn't convert, which keywords look good, but they end up being the wrong ones. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. The only thing I find challenging, not that anybody can do it at a dealership, I love the feedback that I get from dealers that are doing it themselves, is that Google is every other day is coming up with something. Every other day. So if you're going to have somebody at the dealership, I think I had a conversation with somebody here earlier, right? This person, is something that needs to be allocated with budget. This person needs to be doing, a digital marketing corner. That's why there's vendors out there, but if you're going to be doing a dealership, you can't be selling cars, you can't be doing other things, and then also doing this because they will run you over. But within 2 months, you go back and you go, oh, I got this properly set, and also your CTR is dropping. There's things that are coming out like
it doesn't even look like what it looked like 2 months ago.
A lot of people that are doing AdWords, I look at their campaigns as coaching them, and they're not using broad modifiers, which eliminates the broads and does all these things. And they're like, I never saw that. I didn't know what the plus side was. So there's a lot of things that are always coming on board. So if you stay on top of it, more power, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to echo Julio's point really quickly. Even me, I literally get emails and newsletters every day, and I can't even keep track of everything. I mean, there's constant innovation, and there's innovation across multiple products and different strategies. So if you are going to do it in-house, definitely have 1, maybe even 2 people doing this full time, becoming the experts in their field. Otherwise, really utilize these partners that have gone through the growing pains of figuring out which keywords work, which match types, broad match modifier, exact, phrase match, etc. How that works on desktop versus mobile. I mean, it's just a lot of information for one person to kind of comprehend unless they're doing it all the time or you refer to someone else. Yes, you had a question?
Yeah, from a management perspective, from the dealership side, what kind of tools can you give us then to manage that company? Say we hire a company outside to do this for us. What kind of management tools can you give us so we monitor to make sure they're doing the job correctly?
Well, like I said, and this is not self-serving at all, okay? There's no perfect answer because there's some companies that are doing a good job who just say, listen, the average dealer couldn't inspect an AdWords campaign to save their life. So why even joke around and create a user login with layers of security that they're actually going to click through campaigns, look at bounce rate and CTR. They're just like, forget it, Brian. They can say what all they want. I'll give them the key, and then I look at the login, and they'll never log in and do this shit. So, and so they say, well, listen, we're just going to use our huge data warehouse. We're going to provide reports. We're going to listen to their feedback, and we're going to, and so it makes it difficult to inspect. Others are saying, no, there's some middle ground where we can actually, the campaign reports are detailed and they can talk about things. And then others are fully hands-on. It really depends on an honest assessment of how much you really want to get in the weeds. Because at the end of the day, it's kind of one of those things that you're going to trust your peer group and ask for case studies, and people you trust say it's working for me. And at some point, you have to have that faith. Because we're primarily, you're busy selling cars, shaking hands, and coaching your sales team. So unless you're a larger group that's going to have a full-time dedicated person who's really going to get in the weeds and audit the campaigns, you may want it, but at the end of the day, it may not really be feasible from time. So you just have to ask the vendor that you choose what level of visibility you're going to get. Are you comfortable with that level of visibility? Okay. And do you know what their management fee is versus spend? And I think that's a really important question. Out of this $5,000, how much is going to Google to fund, and how much cut are you taking? These are some really important questions. Every answer is different. So, I would just research the market. Sure.
One more thing I'd like to add is 2-3 years ago, we basically focused on search. And our team, when we were starting to do AdWords, about 4 years ago now, we were doing that precisely. We didn't have all these tools that we have today. So about a year ago, we invested a lot of money in technology that the bids and the keywords and everything are pretty much optimized through the system. Not that a human couldn't do it, but for us to scale as a company, we have technology that manages this at a certain high level that you can go in the back and see, and every month is doing exactly the philosophy that you want to execute. So 3 years ago, you probably had bad experience with some search providers because the technology wasn't there, but I can tell you that a lot of the providers that are out there today have a good technology base that, somebody doesn't need to be on top of the system constantly changing bids. This system pretty much manages it by itself. And there's a lot of providers that do that too. So, there is a little bit of the transparency that's still out there that's still clear with some vendors, but a lot of vendors are doing a pretty good job today compared to what it was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Google itself and the providers that we've worked with have tried to make technology smarter and easier for you to use and more efficient. So it's important to have the people behind it monitoring the technology, ensuring that it's kind of going the direction that you want to go. But these systems are very smart. They look at historical trends. They look at the market. They're able to figure out, okay, adjust the bids this much. Okay, readjust them back here. And they do this kind of automatically, so you don't have to do this yourself. What I would say, though, as dealers, as general managers, as dealer principals, it's really important that you understand the concepts behind these things so that you're not demanding some crazy keyword be added to your account that will never work and that will just be really expensive when it converts. So it's really important to understand the main concepts and to trust the partner you're working with or the person that you've hired full-time who has AdWords experience at your dealership and let them kind of make the right decisions. And I think what I've seen happen is one dealer will say something, the rest of the dealer community will believe it, but it'll end up being completely wrong. So, you know, when you're talking with your peers as well, you know, really question, really ask, and really kind of try to get down to what really online marketing is. Okay. And then there's just a few, and again, I don't expect you guys to necessarily go back and look at these tools, but there's a few external tools that you guys can use on your own to sort of look at what the trends have shown us so far. So Google Trends and Google Insights for Search are very similar. You can look at how specific keywords have been trending over time across different categories, different properties. And those have been pretty powerful in looking at, you know, hey, you know, there's been a lot of demand for Honda in the last couple of years. So there's a lot of dealers competing in that space. So yeah, it's a little bit more expensive for me now than it's ever been. Just looking at this external data, looking at these trends can kind of help you figure out what's going on with your online marketing campaigns. Think Insights is the kind of a one-stop shop for marketing research, industry insights developed by Google. YouTube, there's a lot of tools within YouTube. And then Ad Planner is something that we're sunsetting, but we are building a new version that will be released very soon. And that's really more for, is it the sunsetting part and adding a new tool, or?
No,
oh.
It's just Google's adding.
Yeah, yeah, it's always going to happen. Ad Planner kind of helps you look at what websites your customers would visit and what websites you can target. And this is, again, more for the display network. So that's kind of it on the reporting side. The next part of this is really tactical. So I can go through it in detail, or I can go through it and just kind of skim over the main points. Just let me know what you guys want.
Just for a time basis, we should probably just review at a top level.
Okay, great. So again, this is very tactical, and if you start to doze off, fall asleep, I will not be offended. So it's really important, and I have to say that for all the partners that we worked with, the premier SMB partners, they've really gotten this down, the account structure. So it's important to just look at the basics and figure out how to successfully structure your account so that you're getting the most out of it. And really, our premier partners have done a great job at this, and other automotive agencies that we've worked with, we supported, have also gotten pretty good templates. It's important to have this great account structure, have well-written creatives, appropriate keywords, be opted into display and mobile separately, because in the end, it'll get you higher quality scores, higher CTR, more clicks, more traffic, more leads, more conversions. Quality score. I do want to talk about quality score a little bit because I feel like behind Google Places, this is the next most popular sort of concept I'm asked about. So quality score is not the end-all be-all. It's not the metric that will define the success of your campaign. It's one of the things to look at. If all of your keywords are 2s and 3s, that is a problem. But in every campaign, every account I've ever seen, there will always be some 2s and 3s. Hopefully there's going to be a lot of 5s and 7s, a lot of 10s on your dealership name. Don't let somebody else bid on your dealership name. And it's just kind of a wide array. So even if you have some bad quality scores in your account, it doesn't mean that your account is performing poorly. It's just one of the factors.
Is there any impact if the pay-per-click campaign title is Labor Day event? And should the landing page have those words in it? Should the page title have those words in it? Is that a best practice? Does it have any
Yeah, so if you're if your ad has the same information as the landing page that you direct people to, we then kind of infer that it's relevant, and that contributes to the quality score.
So, but what I'm asking is, will Google, if the first line of the campaign is Labor Day event, and
do you mean in the ad text?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the landing page is shellybmw.com/Labor Day event.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that definitely has an impact. I can't say quantifiably how much, but the most specific, I know, right? I mean, look, secret Google algorithm. I don't know the secrets necessarily.
There's a little bit of voodoo magic behind it.
Yeah, it's literally like probably like 5 engineers, Larry and Sergey, who know this, and nobody else does. So as relevant as you can make your ad text to the query and to the landing page as possible, then you're good to go. So if that includes putting that in the URL, in the ad text, having it on the landing page, then assume you're being very relevant and you will at least win that portion of the quality score.
And my experience, and this is just, of course, no offense to Google, but they're a bunch of engineers. They're really not marketing folks. So if you were an engineer or programmer, right, what do you have to work with? The HTML code. Here's an ad. It has Labor Day. And remember, we're talking millions of pages, millions of ads a day. So what's an engineer going to do? Well, okay, it says Labor Day. Is Labor Day in the URL, page title? Is Labor Day mentioned? Oh, Labor Day's mentioned 4 times. What do you think they're going to do? So sometimes you just have to say, what would an engineer do to say, is this ad a good match? They're not looking at the photograph and say, was that a good picture? You know what I mean? Like a good shot? Did they have the car angled right? No, they're engineers. So sometimes you just, even though it's mystery, sometimes that mystery is actually just put the engineer thinking cap. So Steve, yeah, Labor Day sale, Labor Day promotion, get this thing for Labor Day, the whole idea. Maybe your YouTube embedded video has the word Labor Day in its title. I mean, why wouldn't you do it if you were going to spend a couple $1,000s to drive traffic over a weekend, right? If you could maximize the quality score. That's how I look at it. I'm just practical. I don't have the secret sauce. But if it takes 5 minutes to make sure all your title tags and everything are right, 5 minutes, and it doesn't cost you anything more to do it right, why not do it right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
You mentioned something about make sure that your name is scoring a 10.
You can't really make sure it is, but I'm just saying it usually will be, because it's your own name that you bid on.
So what if you're in a very competitive market where your OEM site is bidding for your keywords and then every single competitor is bidding for your keywords? How do you, does that adversely affect your quality score? Because you are always going to, there's a whole bunch of voltage going to fly around with that.
So what would happen in search, and this is why you can't do a conquest campaign. I mean, the OEM I can't do anything about, but let's say other dealerships are bidding on your keywords. They're going to get a low quality score because they're trying to sell a Chevy and they're bidding on Honda keywords. Honda keywords aren't related to their ad text or their landing page, so we might fail them or just give them a really low quality score and their ad won't show for those keywords.
So you use Mercedes-Benz in the campaign as a keyword. Your BMW dealer is probably working against you.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, in display it's not, because you can show on
YouTube
content.
and display, wide open, conquest,
Yeah,
turn
do
up the volume, crush. Unless you're really having really optimized sections of your website. Most websites, dealer.com, Cobalt, will have a list of used BMWs. URL will be, ShellyBMW/used/BMW/ okay, so that URL is clean if the title is, but normally there's a lot of noise on the page and it doesn't get viewed very often in that search. So there is some white noise there. So conquest, as Anita said, is wide open for video and wide open for display. So there's some opportunities there.
Yeah. But for search, it will hurt you. And you can't even try to use an ad text. We'll just fail that. So just really quickly, there's 4 different components to quality score. So, or really 3, but the last one sort of ties into the click-through rate. So we're looking at user input. Like, did the user deem that ad is useful to them? The only way to tell is if they clicked on it and if a lot of users clicked on your ad. But it's not just the ad. click-through rate that we're looking at. It's the URL click-through rate, and it's how the keyword has performed for you in your account and how that keyword has performed across all of Google. So that's why it could be beneficial when you open a new account. You don't have any history, so what are you going to go by? Well, we know, for example, that Mazda performs really well across all of Google, so we'll probably start you off at a higher quality score until you build a history. For some reason, Acura does not do well as a pretty low quality score across the board. So if you sell Acura and you're trying just so gosh darn hard to get that quality score up and you can't, no, it may not be you. It just performs sort of poorly across all of Google. So kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at quality score. Also, regarding click-through rate, and it's actually really the last point on that page, is the historical click-through rate of all the keywords in your account. So again, it's really essential for us to build history. If you've got a bunch of keywords in your account that are performing well, great. That means that will be taken into account when you create new campaigns and you add new keywords. If you have a bunch of poorly performing keywords in your account, or keywords with low search volume, ones and twos, that could negatively impact your entire account. So, I have some people tell me, well, this one keyword converted at one time, so I'm going to keep it in here. Well, you could, but it could also negatively impact your account if you have a lot of those, because those quality scores impact everything. Yes?
Is your account tied to your business or to the company that's buying for you? So if you were to switch providers, is your history going to stay with your business or is it with
that really depends. Some providers let you keep the account. In that case, you could just transfer it over to a new provider. I haven't seen that in automotive. In automotive, they tend to be kind of competitive, and you tend to sometimes have to start a brand new account, which, yes, does actually lose the account history. We also, on the back end, can merge accounts. We can merge two AdWords accounts. Again, it's up to the provider, though, if they actually want to let you do that. The second piece that we talked about is relevant to the keyword to the ad. So if your ad's all about BMW or you're bidding on Mercedes, probably not going to do very well. Making sure that your ad is relevant to the user search query. So having the See Search Terms report kind of lets you helps you with that, because you can see what people actually searched to get to your ad. Making sure, of course, that your keyword and ads are also relevant to the URL, to your landing page. And then this is also the last piece, and Google has recently devoted more significance to the quality of your landing page when looking at when looking at the quality score. But this is only on a pass-fail basis. So if your landing page is doing well and you passed, great, don't worry about it. This I'm not going to really go over in too much detail. Since you guys, I'm sure, have great landing pages through your providers, but just kind of looking at a few different sort of categories that we judge landing pages by, just so you are aware of this. When we pass or fail landing pages, we look at relevant and original content, making sure you're not just duplicating another site. We're also looking at transparency, and if your site is easy to navigate. Yeah, so I think what's probably more relevant for you is kind of last pieces on there. Can the users tell what they're getting into or what they're giving you when they click a download button or they're filling out a form? So if you tell them, okay, you're going to fill out this form and somebody will contact you, we're not going to sell your information, it's private information, just making sure you're transparent with them. A lot of non-automotive sites will make you join the site or download this program, and it's not really very clear as to why you're doing that or what happens with your information. So Google definitely tries to police that as much as we can by making sure you have a transparent landing page. So this is just an example of an account structure, and this is just a very, very, very general example. If I were to make this automotive focused, what I would do is, this is me, I would have a used car campaign, maybe a couple if I'm a really big dealership and I'm selling lots of models. I would have a new car campaign. I would have a parts and service campaign. I would have a Labor Day promotion deals campaign. I would have a separate mobile-only campaign for both my new and my used. And then I would have a separate display-only campaign and a separate retargeting campaign. I know it sounds like a lot, but as we talked about priorities earlier, search, mobile, retargeting, display. I would say those are kind of the priorities. Of course, I'm not speaking for all of Google, but just what I've seen in my experience and other automotive partners I've worked with and their dealerships. And then within that, you want to make sure that you have themed ad groups that are devoted to a separate brand or a separate product. So, you know, one ad group devoted to one Honda model, one devoted to another Toyota model, or sort of Toyota ad group. It depends on what your inventory looks like, how much inventory you have, how big that rooftop is. You know, choosing highly relevant keywords and having very powerful ad text. And another thing I want to mention is having a negative keyword list is also really important. So you're not showing up for terms like Honda parts, you're showing up for a lawnmower. So just kind of making sure that you either exact or phrase match your keywords so that you're only showing for that phrase that somebody typed in, or you're just making sure that you don't show up for certain phrases that are relevant to your business.
And just, I know it's in the weeds, but it's an important concept that I think is worth talking about, is that your ad groups and your keywords should be kept somewhat manageable and discrete. So if I'm selling Toyota Camrys in an ad group, new Toyota Camrys, then my keyword should be all about new Camry, 2012 Camry, 2000 Camry lease. Do you understand if you put Camrys and 5 or 6 models in one campaign and you had all these keywords and ads, can you understand how Google's saying, how can I do a great quality score? You're mixing all these keywords in these ads. So I just wanted to think of, in an ideal situation, that's why the first time setup takes some time, but your ad group could be new Camry and all the keywords for that. Those keywords may only be 20 keywords or 25 keywords. Fine, stop, don't go crazy. It's not 200. Okay, now let me go to a RAV5 or a RAV4, whatever. I just made a new model. So you know what I'm saying? So if you try to throw all keywords and all models in one big ad group, it becomes muddy. And this is why working with a company who does this over and over again, they have a template. You're a Toyota dealer, boom. Here's the 20 ad groups, set, go, right keywords, pre-populated. You understand? And then it helps. Doing it by scratch can sometimes be a little painful.
Another best practice when you're running your AdWords campaign is just to make sure you're targeting the appropriate geography. So you can target by metro, city, postal code, and radius. So you can target, and I would say, going outside a 50-mile radius isn't that great for getting qualified leads. But again, it depends on where you are. If you're the only BMW dealer in a state, target the entire state. Why not? But for other more competitive markets, just make sure you're targeting the right set of users. So this is just this is also very recently released, is zip code targeting. What's really cool is that, and you can do this on all levels, not just the zip code targeting piece of it, but you can actually see the reach in that zip code. So you may wonder, hey, I'm not getting any traffic. Well, yeah, you're targeting a very small geography. You're targeting a very specific zip code, and it's only got a reach of X amount of people. They're not all looking to buy a car. So it's really important that you're targeting the right sort of options. And you can also exclude zip codes that you don't want to target, exclude certain cities that, if you have some kind of funky way in which you service surrounding areas and you have to exclude this one town because the OEM says to, then you're able to do this through AdWords.